How many of you remember years ago when Echo was released and Blizzard just mentioned that they actually had originally planned for her to be a support, but then after a little bit of development they decided to shift her around to be a DPS, which resulted in a lot of crying. Well, the Echo support dream is real now, because that's what Space Ranger is, and it's hilarious to me seeing some of those same people discover they wouldn't have actually liked it that much. But anyway, Juno is our newest support hero. I absolutely love them, but before we talk about my actual thoughts on them, let's take a quick look at their abilities. Her passive is a double jump and a hover, so if you're used to Genji it's a little bit different, but you can adapt to it quickly enough. The primary fire has a smiley face if you point at allies and an angry face if pointed at enemies. That's really important information, I swear. Anyway, it shoots 12 bullets per burst at 7 damage or 7 healing per bullet, so 84 total, with a fall-off range starting at about 30 meters. Her secondary fire charges up on all allies and enemies that Juno can see before firing an auto-targeted bullet towards them, doing 75 damage to enemies and 75 healing to allies, but it also has a 65 heal over time, and it follows LOS at all times, so if you can't see someone, you can't shoot it. Her shift makes her hover in the air with some increased move speed, and it slightly raises you if you're close enough to the height of a platform in order to put you over it. You can also double jump during it if you haven't already. And her E is the speed ring, which I can only describe as a vertical Lucio amp. The projectile that fires out also gives it speed before it turns into the ring. And finally, her ultimate is an orbital laser from space that does some really good healing and gives all allies in the radius a 30% damage boost, which lasts for about 5 seconds. So to start with what my initial impression of her was, and I mean literally like just looking at the announcement of her and then when I got to play her in the training range just a little bit when she released, it was honestly pretty positive. Out the gate, I really like the look of Juno's kits. Her primary fire especially reminded me a lot of Ana's, which I'm already just a big fan of because I think Ana's primary fire is very fun, but at the same time, she's not just a complete Ana clone in any regard, which is very nice. There were only 2 things that I was able to immediately say and notice about this at first, and it was just that her shift can feel a little bit restrictive at times because it locks you in at the height that you're at, and that her right click feels really finicky, but the fact that this was all I could say was an absolute blessing to me. Overwatch and Blizzard don't have the best track record when it comes to releasing new heroes, but especially releasing new supports. I mean, if we take a look at the first 2 that released during Overwatch 2, we had Oh Good God You Became the Meta for 2 years, and Dead on Arrival. I love you though, Life Weaver. But Juno, the design of her kit seems extremely healthy to me, which I'm just so happy about. One of my other thoughts that I had at first was that her ult seems a little bit slow with how the rest of her kit is, but honestly, when you actually look at it, her ult is extremely powerful. I mean, it's a massive heal and a 30% damage boost, so having it just move slowly, that's fair enough realistically. But what about her gameplay? Well, as someone who loves Pharah, Echo and Lucio, I'm not surprised at the fact that I absolutely love it. Her gun feels very nice to use, Speed Ring is an incredibly fun ability, the double jump, hover, and glide, all of it just feels so nice. Despite what I said a second ago, and I'll get into that in just a moment, it all comes together in such a well-designed kit. However, I just need to speak about this now because her right click is more than just a little bit finicky. There is a couple issues that I have with it, the first being the charge up time. Because yes, the charge up time does change depending on how far away the target is from you, but that doesn't change the fact that even in close ranges, the time it takes to charge up just really is not worth it for that 75 heal and 75 damage. Now the heal is nice on allies because it has that additional healing over time effect, but realistically there's been cases where I have ran out of ammo and I have to reload but someone's dying right in front of me, so I quickly swap over to the right click to try and heal them, but they die before the right click is even charged up onto them and it just feels not good. I think the numbers on it are fine, and after playing with it quite a bit, I do think the ability itself is okay, it's just that the charge time really needs some adjustments. Another aspect of it that just makes it feel weird is the fact that the bullets themselves have some very strange pathfinding. I mean, I could fire them out and they could just bump into the most random piece of map geometry that's sticking out, and that just deletes the bullet entirely. It just means that after all that charge time, there was no point in me even using the ability because it just ran into a wall. And then for the actual charge targeting of it, it's very, very strange. Like, it's LOS based, but I think it's a little bit too LOS based. Like, just to use the practice range as a little bit of an example, it gets blocked as stuff as small as a railing, and whatever the hell this thing coming out of the ground is over here. Like, it's centered literally on the center of the character's body. Whatever it is, that's the spot it looks for in terms of the LOS sighting, which just makes it really... It just doesn't feel that good, because most of their body could be exposed, but because the center is hidden behind something, well, now it just can't charge up on it. Like I said, I think the numbers on it are fine, and considering how you're meant to be playing in fights, kind of on a bit of an off angle, using that hover, speed ring, all that to take advantage of your mobility and get into some solid angles for yourself, you do get good chances to fire it off, but really, it's just a couple quality of life adjustments, and then I think I can say this is actually a good ability to use, because for now, it's just extremely clunky. And if we're talking quality of life, well, we may as well look at her hover. I really love this ability, but I wish we could just adjust the height without cancelling it. Like, instead of using shift to cancel, why not make shift have you go down? You have your double jump and the little height bumps that the game can give you when you're at a ledge, and it is supposed to be a hover, not a flight, so making it so that you can't go further than what the double jump would give you seems grand to me. You could even have it so that holding shift makes you go down and releasing it makes you rise back up to the height that you were at originally. Sometimes you really just want the speed boost from it, but because there's a dip in the map, you can't properly run away without smacking your head into a ceiling. Final issue I could really say is that I wish she could headshot, irrespective of whether you want the headshots to heal or just headshots to do more damage. I think letting her headshot would be warranted, but her numbers have to be brought down to compensate. Either have a lower multiplier, and I mean lower than a Yari, because with a 1.5 multiplier, a full burst of headshots would be doing 24 less damage than what Baptiste would do if his full burst was all headshots, and even then Bap actually has recoil. Whether you lower the damage number and just give it a headshot multiplier, or just lower the headshot multiplier like down to 1.3 or 1.4, it would make her feel a lot nicer to play, because after I got enough normal footage on her, I started playing her like a maniac in the stack that I was in, which gave us some really silly games. She honestly has the potential to have a DPS style, but please know that she's much better as a healer. The fact I could play Shadow the Hedgehog on GameCube in Overwatch was just hilarious to me, but really, just heal with her. Now, I commented on her ult earlier because I do want to mention it again. It's extremely powerful, but because of how slowly it moves, it can be a bit awkward to set up thanks to speed ring. But really, to adjust to that, you just speed ring the team in, and when the fight starts, then you launch it. It also builds incredibly fast. Like, I've gotten this thing in 30 seconds before the point unlocks on control sometimes. And speed ring, I adore this ability. It doesn't feel like a replacement for Lucio, but really we need her to be in the game for a proper length of time before that can really be said. I adore placing it down during a fight and just seeing your tank go absolutely mental. If you place it perpendicularly to them and the other team, they just start doing like Smash Bros melee wave dashes in the middle of a fight. It's so funny to me. My favorite combo by far with the speed ring though is probably using something like an ulting Ramatra and the speed ring. You turn him into a projectile and you can visibly see the serotonin entering your Ramatra's head. It's brilliant. With Venture and now Juno, the Overwatch team is after giving us two beautifully designed characters, which does make me hopeful after the mess that we had before the two of them. So really, I'm very happy about it. I'm very excited, and I can't wait to see what new releases we have coming in the future. And if you have a chance, assuming I get this video out in time, please give Juno a try for yourself, because she's so fun. And if you're feeling just a little bit spicy or a little bit humorous, definitely do what I was trying at one point, which is just get yourself a mercy pocket. Just get a mercy pocket somehow, and you'll discover the power trip you could feel. I started doing this in some of the games. I had a mercy pocket helping me out, and it was some of the stupidest stuff in the universe. They were like the dumbest games ever, but they were so funny. So if you have any thought that you want to say on Juno, please leave them in the comments. I want to see what other people think about her. But for now, for a brief bit of self-promotion, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Discord, all in the description, so if you want to give those a look, I would appreciate it a lot. And sure, look, if you're still here, go on, drop a like, a sub, all that YouTube stuff, and I'll talk to you next time, lads.